Hey, congratulations on coming to a place in your house hunting where you are wanting to make an offer on a house that you would love to call home. Now, in this process, you're going to need to submit a contract to a seller in order to make an offer. I don't at all suggest, and most time I won't participate in making any verbal offers, mainly because you need to be clear what you're offering to the seller, and you also need to be able to put the seller on the hook if they do accept. The only way to do that is by filling out and signing what's called a 1-to-4 family contract. Now, there are several items that I'm going to need from you, and these items you can text over to me or email to me, and I'll be able to put them on a contract and submit them back to you for review. The first thing and most important is your legal name, right? Not your nickname, your government name, or whatever's going to be on your license. Now, if you are just married and plan on changing your name, ladies, this would be a great time to go and change your name on your license if you haven't done so already. You can't show up to the closing desk with a name other than what's on your license because they have to be able to match everything on the paperwork that you're signing. So your legal name, then also to the closing date that you're requesting. Now, it's going to have to at least be 30 days from now. So pick a date, either 30 days from today or after, that you would like to close on this home that we can submit to the seller. The next thing is a survey. Now, if one hasn't been provided, I need to know, even if it has been provided, I need to know whether or not you would be willing to pay for a survey. If not, we can ask a request that the seller pay for a survey. Just note that this is a cost to the seller that deducts from the amount that they receive. If this is something normally for a small quarter acre property, it's normally going to be between about $500 to $700. And it's something that you can pay at closing as well. So if that's something that you can do, please let me know or not. The next thing is any items that you want the seller to repair before the inspection is done. So as we're walking through the house, if you notice there's a big hole in the roof or something like that, this offer should be subject to the seller repairing that thing that you see is out of place or damaged. If there isn't anything that you know of, that's okay. We can come back around later to negotiate repairs. All right, and then after that, there's a home warranty. Now, a home warranty is separate from your home insurance. This covers the normal wear and tear on your home. If there's, for instance, if your AC goes out, for a service fee of normally between $65 to $75, you can have a professional come out and take a look at that issue and repair that for you, as long as it's covered. Normally you get about $500 to $550 to cover that. For larger properties, you may be able to get more, but typically it's between $500 to $550 that you can negotiate and expect the seller to pay. I suggest in any contract where I'm working with a buyer to have that coverage put on there and paid for by the seller. It just gives peace of mind. Next are the closing costs. If you need closing costs, if you talk to your lender, you know how much closing costs you are expected to pay. If you need help with those closing costs, I need to know how much you want to ask the seller to pay for your closing costs. Please keep in mind that whatever amount you're offering, let's say we're offering $150,000. If you're asking for $5,000 in closing, you're actually bringing your offer down to $145 because the seller is not receiving that $5,000 if they pay that for you. Now, if you're in a hot market and the sellers have the advantage, it's what's considered a seller's market, there's a lot of competition. A lot of times you will need to go, if you need to go above that asking price. So if they're asking 150, you need to go to 155. As long as you're approved, you need to go to 155 and ask for those 5,000 in closing. You can do that, as that will bring it back down to their asking price of 150,000. If that doesn't make sense or you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me. But also, I will need to know how much you plan on asking in closing costs. And then lastly, of course, is the super important things that I absolutely have to have, which is the price. Now, hopefully we've already talked about fair pricing in that area for that specific house. But my suggestion to everybody is offer what the home would be worth to you. Right? This is about value more so than it is about getting a great deal. So for instance, if you were to lose out, let's say you wanted to save $4,000 or $5,000, right? In order to try to get those $4,000 or $5,000, you ask for that. Instead of offering 150,000, like the example I just gave, you offer them 145. And they were to get an offer at 150,000, go with the other offer. If you were to be upset by that, I would say you didn't offer what the home would be worth to you, right? If you love the home and they're asking 150,000, and that's a fair price to ask based on the houses that are selling around them, that's information that I will provide, then I would suggest offering what they ask. So that way you don't lose out potentially because you just were trying to save $4,000 or $5,000. In the grand scheme of things, you'll probably only pay monthly a difference of about $2 or $3 if you got $4,000 or $5,000 off the asking price. $2 or $3 every month, right? That's the number that really matters the most for most buyers, is how much they're going to be paying monthly. So offer what the house will be worth to you. There are some protections in there to protect you, such as the appraisal, something that happens way on down the line. So I just suggest offer what the house would be worth to you. Now, there are some lesser things that I would need. If you have a real estate attorney, please send that information, his or her information over to me so that I can put that on the contract. And then also, too, if there are any items that you saw in the house that weren't attached to the home that you want to ask for or purchase from the seller, let me know what those items would be, and then I can put them on what's called a non-realty items addendum, where we can either offer a certain amount or just see if the sellers will keep it there at the property. Okay. Other than that, I'm going to be sending over, after you send me that information, I'll send back over to you a contract with all this information, where you'll also receive another video which goes through this contract. And then lastly, we'll go through it together just to make sure everything is as it should be, because once we send it over, if the seller accepts, we want them to sign that contract. We don't want any confusion. That way, whenever it's time, you are able to enter what's called closing or escrow after you and the seller have agreed to transfer a home to you. All right. Best of luck to you in this endeavor. If it doesn't work out, we'll move on and find another great one. If it does, congratulations, and let's get you where you want to be. All right. Thank you, and I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks.